So we are moving forward to the next, our last presenter, the plenary 2, Dr. Guido. I just give the, just a moment. So before he is going to talk today on the significant reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by optimized use byproduct from palm oil production, a comprehensive assessment. Before I call him, I just want to give a brief introductions about him. He is working with the Institute for Energy and Environmental Research, Heidelberg, and he have done the graduation in mathematics and chemistry at same university, and also he done the PhD in natural science at the University of Heidelberg in 1991. And he is a lecturer and started the career as a lecturer in 91, and since then he is also the scientific director, member of the board of directors, and he have more than 25 years of experience in acquisitions and coordinations of large-scale projects. And he is also coordinator of different projects. Beside that, he is also the consultant for the national and international institutions like OECD, UNFCCC, FAO, UNEP, UNDP, and he also authors a lot of books and book chapters, and he is also the member of different advisory committee, and he have also given the lot of invited talks and plenary talks at different country, and he until now he have published more than 500 articles in different journals in related field. So without further delay, I call him to please come on the stage and give the plenary talk.
Okay. Yeah, hello everybody.
You don't need the mic. You can use here, or do you need the mic?
I can use that, yeah. Thank you very much, Chair, for this very kind introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, before starting, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the organizers for inviting me to come to this wonderful conference. And also, I would like to thank the Saudi Arabian organizing team for setting up this place. I'm very happy to be again in Saudi Arabia. 4 years ago, I gave a talk at the University of Abha, which is in the south of Saudi Arabia. And it's always a pleasure to be here to learn about the Saudi Arabian culture and to talk to people. So before starting, I would like to introduce the IFEU-Institute for Environmental Energy and Research. I just try to find out how I can continue the slides. Yes, here we go. My company is a non-profit private company working on sustainability assessment since almost 40 years. It's one of the very few think tanks in Germany. It's not very big, but it's extremely powerful, and we do a lot of research in several kinds of society fields. And on the international arena, we work a lot with the United Nations, European Commission, industries, but also for NGOs, so actually for all stakeholders you can think about. And coming to palm trees, we work since 25 years on the sustainability of palms, not only oil palm, but mainly on them. And there are many publications we already published. You will find them on our homepage. There's just a small selection on this, as well already was mentioned in the introduction. So as you can see, I'm in the scene since quite some time, and I'm happy now to start with my talk, which is about the carbon footprint of the residues, not waste, I don't use the word waste, residues and byproducts of palm. Actually, not everybody is acquainted, I guess, with the carbon footprint. They measure how to measure climate change, and climate change is one of the biggest challenges in the world right now. So I would like to give you a 1-minute introduction into what a carbon footprint is about. Actually, we calculate the carbon footprint along the whole production chain from cradle to grave, considering all single processes along a production chain. For this very special, I took a T-shirt to produce a T-shirt, and if you consider all the processes along the process chains, then we can calculate the greenhouse gases. And we do not only consider carbon dioxide, we consider all greenhouse gases and add them all together into the greenhouse gas balance. But in short, it's called carbon footprint or CO2 footprint. And we can do that for many scenarios, so not only for one or two, but very many. We can compare that and everything. So if you want to learn more about carbon footprint, in my slides you will find more information. The slides will be shared later on, so you can have a look into this. So what I'm talking about today, I'm talking about oil palm. I'm aware that there is a World Date conference here in Riyadh, which is great, and I learned a lot about the date palm these days. But I choose the oil palm because the residues available and the potential to save greenhouse gases is 20 to 50 times higher compared to date palms. It's 1 million hectares of date palms in the world, 30 million of oil palm. So maybe next time I will give a talk about coconut palm and date palm. But today I want to restrict my talk only to oil palm, and we look at the whole process chain of the oil palm, and if we have a look onto it, in each stage we find byproducts and residues. It starts with the trunks, there are empty fruit bunches, there is biogas deriving from palm oil mill effluent, etc., etc. And I would like to go through each of these parameters, or actually potentials, and will give you an idea about how big the potential is and how much greenhouse gas we can save if we level these potentials. I would like to start with the trunks. So at the end of a life of a plantation, there will be a re-establishment of the plantation. So right now, today, the palm trees are cut down, they are chopped, and they're left on the field. They serve as fertilizer. And that's it. But in future, and that is a picture already 10 years old in Malaysia, so it's existing technology. After falling down the trees, the trunks can be harvested, they can be transported to a centralized or decentralized collection center, and there it can be sawn, and with the leftovers, the leftover cuttings, they can be used to produce bioenergy to dry the wooden bars. Actually, oil palm wood is extremely moisty. It will rot within 2 to 3 weeks if you don't treat it properly. But you can use the leftover cuttings to dry it, and then you have low moisture wood. And this you can actually work with to produce furnitures, plywood, bioenergy pellets, whatever. We just have seen half an hour ago from the guy sitting here about the date tree panels. There you see the similar ones from oil palm. So existing technology, it's running. Basically, because the wood is extremely moist, you need a lot of energy to dry it. And if you use the very basic technology, which is available. Very basic. You get 45% of the wood out of an area because all the other leftovers in wood you need to dry the 45%. That is very basic technology. If you use a more advanced technology, then you even can harvest 100% of the core inside of the trunks. And if you have a very good technology using also CHP for the bioenergy, then it's actually the best. And if we look at the result of the carbon footprint, there you realize that even with the very basic technologies, you can save a lot of carbon footprint. The range is from 1 to 3, roundabout, tons of carbon dioxide per hectare. So not everybody actually knows what a ton of carbon dioxide is. Therefore, I would like to translate that. And actually, 1 ton of carbon dioxide emissions is the equivalent. 1 person in Egypt is responsible to emit in a whole year, or 1/5 of a European person. That is amazingly high from 1 hectare only. If you consider that we have 30 million hectares in the world on oil palm, you can imagine that we can save a real lot of carbon dioxide emissions. Second possibility is to use the wood not only for furniture, but for bioenergy. You can pellet it and burn it. There again, I have 2 scenarios. If you burn it just in a standard boiler, then you have a recovery rate of 35%. If it is a very experienced technology like CHP, it might be higher. And therefore, we also have a range of saving greenhouse gases. In this case, it's between 2 and 4 tons per hectare. If we combine that, then you can see that for both options, furniture or bioenergy, you can choose from whatever you like, because you have the dry wood, you can work with it. And depending on the country, on the local conditions, you can either sell it or you use it locally. It just depends on the local areas. So instead of chopping it and letting it rotting on the field in future, it might be very wise to harvest the wood. And even if you lose the fertilizing effect, you have to put some more fertilizer onto the plantations, but that is already considered in these calculations. Now I come to the second potential, which are the empty fruit bunches. Today, almost 100% of all empty fruit bunches are displaced again back into the plantations, and they serve as fertilizer, which is perfect. There's nothing bad about that. But there could be an optimization. We can use the empty fruit bunches, put them in a biogas plant, extract the biogas, and we take this left over, the digestate, as a fertilizer, because the phosphorus, the nitrogen, all the minerals are still in the digestate, and then you can distribute the digestate. In Germany, we have 1,500 biogas plants. They all run with this system that you put biomass in and you take the digestate out and put it as fertilizer into the agricultural field. So you have a cascade use. First, bioenergy. Second, you go still fertilizing. So it's a win-win situation. But also, there is a very, very simple option. And I have seen so many oil plantations already now, and in very many oil processing oil mills, a certain share of the empty fruit bunches are just burned without using the energy, and the leftovers, the ash, is distributed as fertilizer onto the field. But if you use these energies instead of just burning, you can recover it with the existing technology, even without biogas plants. But the better option is to use biogas plants, of course, and there you can see the range in which carbon dioxide savings can be achieved if empty fruit bunches are used in the cascading way in the future. There again, we have significant greenhouse gas saving options. With my third example, I will come up with the palm kernel shells. As you probably know, next to palm oil, also palm kernel oil is produced in parallel to palm oil. And the leftover is the palm kernel shells. Right now, worldwide, round about 50% of these kernel shells are already sold to Japan, to Taiwan, to other places as bioenergy carriers. But the other 50%, they're not sold for bioenergy. They're used in road surfaces and other options. So this is an option to use in future these potentials which are not yet leveled. And if you burn them for bioenergy in a very, very easy matter, and it's completely technical available, there's nothing new about it, then you can substitute either natural gas or maybe even coal, like in India, in Indonesia, many other places of the world. And in these cases, you will see that there are also quite an amount of greenhouse gas savings achievable. And again, the same conclusion, we should use these potentials in the future. My next example is the palm oil mill effluent. In an oil mill, you have a lot of fluid effluents coming out of the processing of palm oil. It's hot, it's 70 degrees, it goes in ponds to cool down, and then the bacteria start to work, and a lot of methane emissions are associated with this. And that is really negative for climate change, because methane has an enormous impact on climate change, because methane is a much higher greenhouse gas compared to carbon dioxide. Therefore, there is already since 15 years in Malaysia especially a lot of these palm oil mill effluent ponds covered by a plastic shell. You can see that in the middle. And there the methane is captured. And if the methane is captured, you can do something with the methane afterwards. A very easy issue is just to flare it. Then you destroy it, you just have CO2, and that's it. It doesn't cost anything, you just need that plastic cover, and then you get rid of 95% of the greenhouse gas emissions because you destroy the methane. Second option is you use the methane as a bioenergy carrier. So these are the different options. So again, the very, very basic one, it doesn't cost much. You just flare the methane and that's it. But that gives you a big benefit on greenhouse gas savings, or you even use it as biogas for bioenergy. And if you do so, you may realize that even to flare methane is yielding more than 1 ton of CO2 equivalents per hectare. So that potential is absolutely fantastic, and therefore in future all the ponds should be covered, and that would be very easily manageable, and it would save a lot of CO2. Last but not least, I would like to highlight fibers and phytonutrients. First, the fibers. We have seen half an hour ago, also on this podium, that there are fibers from date palms available. There you see also fibers, but they are produced from empty fruit bunches from palm trees. So these fibers, they can substitute other fibers, of course, especially biofibers from hemp, from sisal, from cocos, etc., because they have a very, very similar behavior. In life cycle assessments, actually, we consider then also the credits to produce, let's say, coconut fibers. Another option is to extract phytonutrients like vitamin A, vitamin E, or phytosterols and many others. So these products are already produced from oil palm processing. It's existing, you can buy them on the market. And if we look at the CO2 balance, there you may realize that with some of the phytonutrients, they have a negative CO2 balance. Not all of these products help to save carbon dioxide, but with the fibers, actually all the fibers will end up in a positive carbon dioxide saving. Still, my statement is that these types of products, they do not have a big potential. So to go for the food industry as food additives, potential is not very high. The fibers over there to substitute sisal fibers, hemp fibers, coconut fibers, potential is not very high. So I would not rely on these kinds of byproducts. I would rather suggest to go into the big potentials and not to have too high expectations onto these potentials. So if I now give a total view of these potentials saving greenhouse gases, then we have to look at the total area worldwide oil palms are produced, which is round about 30 million hectares, most of them in Indonesia and Malaysia, and the others in the other parts of the world and other countries. And if we look at the residues and all the fractions I showed you, but only to the four which have the biggest potential, the trunks, empty fruit bunches, the kernel shells, and the biomethane from Palmer, then you may realize in the bottom of the slide that there is a very similar potential to save carbon dioxide. They're all in the same order of magnitude. So the conclusion out of this, we should go for all four of these potentials. Not one, not two, but let's take all four of them. And in future, the potential for saving CO2 from the trunks, they become bigger and bigger because the more year after year, more trunks become available because it takes 20 to 25 years for the oil palms to grow, and then afterwards there will be a re-establishment. And in the last 10 years, half of these oil palms have been grown. So it takes a while to level the trunks, but still it's an amazing potential. If we have a whole look on the potential, the technical, theoretical potential is much, much higher. But I don't want to talk about that because it's more academic, and in reality, we really have to consider the potentials which are easy to reach, very easy to reach. And the very easiest to reach is that what I called the basic ones with the very available, easy to handle technologies. And this amount equals the total greenhouse gas emissions of Switzerland annually, which is really absolutely a lot. And therefore, it's one of the biggest potentials we have in the, I would say, in the palm industry worldwide. So my summary is that first, we have a huge potential we can level, and we can level that with easy and basic to handle technologies. And there are 4 action fields: trunks, empty food bunches, kernels, and the biogas von Pome. And all of them, it's very easy to level them. For the trunks, to try them with a primitive technology, losing half of the wood, but nevertheless, it's still a lot of leftovers, and use it at bioenergy. Empty food bunches, you can briquette them, it's very easy, and sell them. In Malaysia, it's running, so why not in other parts of the world? And for the kernel shells, you just need now to introduce better technology, logistics to get the leftover leftover from the palm kernel shell mills into the market. And with the biogas, I already pointed that out. If you capture and flare that, that's easy. Although in future, we should not flare it, but use the biogas, of course. And let's go for all these four potentials. And in future, we can introduce better technologies, higher efficiencies, but to start with, the basic ones would be best. So with this, I would like to end my talk, and with this summary, which gives you an impression that it's not academic, it's not maybe in future. Technology is right, the residues are there because palm oil is produced, and if you want to go for the market, there is no reason to wait, because in the world there are so many countries who pay for saving greenhouse gases that there might be an option possible to find a market for the saved carbon dioxide emissions. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm happy to answer questions. And if there is not much time around, you can grab me at the end of this conference, or you send me a mail and we can discuss further issues later on this year. Thank you very much.
Dr. Guido, thank you for giving a very valuable information on the oil palm-based products and its commercializations. So now we open the floor, because we have limited time, so maybe 1 or 2 questions we can take it that. So if any questions, please, fast. Yeah, Prof. No, please give the mic to him.
Yeah, thank you very much for this very impressive presentation. But still, we know each other since some time, and you certainly think what my question or what my comment is, because I am coming from the product side, and I was a little bit wondering why you, as a basic, you named this the basic technology. More or less favors the energy sector, because I understand this is something we can do quickly. But if it is once the energy utilization strategy, when it is once established, you hardly can go out of that, because all the investments last at least for 20, 30, 40 years. And this would contradict all the research and strategy development towards consumer products from palm residues. We know that in the consumer products, the heat value is still available afterwards. So here I miss the cascade approach. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. So we always look and prefer the cascade approach. Therefore, I introduced one cascade approach that was with the empty fruit bunches first, because you also can use the fibers and then use it at bioenergy, but then you don't get the fertilizer back again. And with the trunks, I already pointed out that to use the wood for furniture and plywood, that would be the best option, definitely. And afterwards, to use the furniture as bioenergy, for instance. So that is for sure the best option. Still, in reality, these furnitures exist since 10 years in Malaysia. The company works, but there was obviously no good market for them. They sold shelves, good furniture, plywood, but they could not really to get into the international market because in Scandinavia, the wood which is produced is much cheaper. So IKEA, they use for the shelves their own wood, etc. So I would say the cheapest way is to start in these areas where the logistics are difficult with bioenergy, and then try to get into the market in other places, like for Malaysia. They're very well developed, and there might be an option to increase the furniture produced from these palm oil trunks. So I don't opt for both, but I'm realistic, and if I talk to the United Nations, they always say we need a cheap, easy to handle option. So we should balance both. Wherever it's possible to level the highest and best option, we should do so. In other places, we can start from going slowly into higher value market. So, so I think there's no contradiction on it. And I rather would see that all the ponds are covered next year and flare the stuff, and 2 years or 3 years later to use the biogas instead of waiting and waiting and waiting and nothing happens. So this is a part of my message, that we should have altogether a combined pathway for the next 5 to 10 years to level as many options as possible.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, I want to give you the token of appreciations on behalf of the organizing committee. Thank you, Dr. Guido, for giving a very good talk.